Hello viewers, yes, this is Ranjana ma'am and you are watching Yes. It's mine as well as your channel. And yes, I've got so many requests. Ma'am, please continue with Julius Caesar Act 3 Scene 2. We have it in our exam, so here I am. Better late than never. So, Act 3 Scene 2 is a very important scene. And I understand your concern, you all are really concerned because this is an important as well as a difficult scene. Quite a few nice speeches here, especially by Mark Antony and of course Brutus. But Brutus's speech is not that difficult. Why? Because it is in prose and Mark Antony's speech is more, in comparison, more difficult to understand. So, let's start, but you know what's coming. If you have been an avid follower of my videos, you know that what I'll say next. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do, and don't forget to press the like button after you have viewed the whole video. So, let's start. In Act 3 Scene 2, when the scene opens, we find Brutus. He has gathered the common people of Rome. He needs to give them reasons why he and the other conspirators joined hands and assassinated Caesar. He feels that if I satisfy the people, if I give them reasons, they will be satisfied and then there won't be any dangers. So far as Brutus gives his speech, everything is fine. But when Mark Antony comes, initially the public are not really very eager to listen to him. But Brutus insists that they should not leave the place before having listened to Mark Antony. And Brutus is an emotional person, he is not far-sighted. In comparison, Cassius is very far-sighted. Remember, he had not wanted that Brutus should give permission to Mark Antony to speak. But Brutus thought that once I give my reasons, once I place my reasons before the public, whatever Mark Antony says, it will have no effect on them. One fault of Brutus, overconfident. So now what happens? Mark Antony comes and very cleverly, very shrewdly, he turns the table to his side. And finally, at the end of the scene, we find the common people of Rome very furious, very agitated, rushing to cut the throats of the conspirators. So, Mark Antony has done his job. He has succeeded in inciting the people of Rome against the conspirators. So, this is a short summary of Act 3 Scene 1, which is indeed a very lengthy scene. And I won't be able to do it in one video, I'll have to break it up. So now let's start. Enter Brutus and Cassius with the plebeians. Plebeians, common people. Plebeians, we will be satisfied, let us be satisfied. So they demand that please give us sufficient reasons. We want to be satisfied, give us reasons to satisfy why Caesar was killed. Brutus, then follow me and give me audience, friends. So follow me and listen to what I say. Give me audience. That means listen to my words. Cassius, you go into the other street and part the numbers. Then he gives Cassius the orders. Cassius, it's no use both of us being at the same place. You go to another public platform. Take half the crowd along with you. Take the crowd, half the crowd along with you. Part the numbers. Divide the people. Those that will hear me speak, let them stay here. Those that will follow Cassius, go with him. and public reason shall be rendered of Caesar's death. And he tells the people that those of you who are interested in listening to me or to my reasons or to my speech, stay with me here. Those of you who are interested in listening to Cassius, follow him. And we will give reasons why Caesar was murdered. First plebeian, I will hear Brutus speak. So he wants to listen to Brutus. Second plebeian, I will hear Cassius and compare their reasons, when severally we hear them rendered. Second citizen seems to be quite an intelligent fellow. So he says, I'll follow Cassius, and not only that, after we have heard both the speeches, you have heard Brutus and I have heard Cassius, then we can compare them, the reasons which they have given separately. Brutus is giving his reason here, Cassius is giving his reason there. So we will compare the reasons they have given separately. So exit Cassius with some of the plebeians, Brutus goes into the pulpit. So Brutus ascends the pulpit to give reasons why he joined hands with the conspirators in killing his best friend. Third plebeian, the noble Brutus is ascended, silence. So third citizen, he says the noble Brutus, he has ascended the pulpit or the public platform, so please listen to him, be silent. Be patient till the last. That means listen to whatever I have to say patiently. Romans, countrymen and lovers, hear me for my cause and be silent that you may hear. Believe me for mine honor and have respect to mine honor that you may believe. So he tells the common people of Rome that hear me for my sake, be silent and hear me for my honor. Why? Because you know me as a man of honorable character, and that is why listen to me, listen to the cause which I have to offer to you. Have faith in what I tell you. Censure me in your wisdom and awake your senses that you may the better judge. So judge me in your wisdom. So judge me in your wisdom and remain awakened so that you may judge me properly. In order to judge properly, you need to be alert, that you may the better judge. If there be any in this assembly, any dear friend of Caesar's, to him I say that Brutus's love to Caesar was no less than his. So Brutus starts in a very emotional manner. He calls upon the people of Rome and he tells that among you, if there is someone who was very fond of Caesar, let me tell you that my love for Caesar was no less than his love for Caesar. If then that friend demand why Brutus rose against Caesar, this is my answer. This is a very nice line. Not that I love Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. So that friend of Caesar might demand of me that if you say you love Caesar more than me, then why did you kill him? So to that friend, my answer is, it's not that I did not love Caesar. I loved Rome more. I love Caesar, I love Rome, but my love for Rome is more than my love for Caesar, and that is what made me kill him. Had you rather Caesar were living and die all slaves, than that Caesar were dead to live all freemen? So he is questioning them. What do you prefer? Would you want that Caesar was alive and you lead the life of slaves under him? Or would you prefer that Caesar is dead but y'all are living as freemen? As Caesar loved me, I weep for him. As he was fortunate, I rejoice at it. As he was valiant, I honor him. But as he was ambitious, I slew him. So he says that Caesar loved me. Yeah, everyone knew the fact that Caesar was more fond of Brutus rather than Brutus was fond of Caesar. So since Caesar loved him, Brutus weeps on the death of Caesar. And Caesar was fortunate, he was fortunate, and that is why I was happy at his good fortune. He was brave and I honor him for his bravery. But as he was ambitious, I killed him. So there is tears for his love, joy for his fortune, honor for his valor, and death for his ambition. So for different character traits of Caesar, different reactions from Brutus. So tears because he loved me, I shed tears at his death. And then at his good fortune, I was happy, or rather I am happy at his good fortune. Honor for his bravery and death for his ambition. Who is here so base that would be a bondman? Among you, who is here so low that he would want to be a slave, bondman, slave? Slaves don't have any rights. So among you, is there anyone who is so low, so degraded that he would love to lead the life of a slave? If any speak, for him have I offended. So among you, if there is anyone who is willing to be a bondman, then I have offended that person in killing Caesar. Because had Caesar been alive, he would have made you his slaves. So I have offended that person in killing Caesar, because he would have willingly wanted to be a slave of Caesar. So I have offended him. Who is here so rude that would not be a Roman? So among you, is there someone so arrogant or cruel that he would not wish to be a Roman? Romans were noted for their decent behavior, for their honor. So among you, is there someone so arrogant who would not be a Roman? If any speak, for him have I offended. Among you, if there is anyone who is so rude, I have offended him. Who is here so vile that will not love his country? Among you, is there someone so cheap that would not love his country? If you love your country, you wouldn't want your countrymen to be slaves. And that is what Brutus is projecting himself to be. He is a patriot, he loves his country, and that is why he kills his best friend for the sake of the countrymen. He loves Caesar, but he loves Rome more, he loves his countrymen more. If any speak, for him have I offended. I pause for a reply. So, if among you there is someone who is either rude that he would not be a Roman, someone so cheap that would not love his country, someone so degraded, so base that would be willingly be a slave. So I have offended these people. If any among you are one of these, willing to be a bondman or a rude person or a vile person, not loving the country, I have offended that person. I pause for a reply. So I am stopping to get any answer from you, not from you all. I am talking of Brutus. Brutus is pausing to get a reply from the countrymen. He has presented his speech very well. So naturally no one would openly say, yes, I am willing to be a bondman, or no one would say that I am so cheap that I will not love my country. So no one will openly say all this. Yeah, no one would want to be a slave also. Freedom is dear to everyone. So none Brutus, none. So none of us are willing to be a bondman. None of us is so vile that would not love our country. So they say none of us are like that. Brutus, then none have I offended. So if none of you are like that, then I haven't offended anyone. I have done no more to Caesar than you shall do to Brutus, and I haven't done something to Caesar which you cannot do to Brutus. If Brutus also becomes the same, if Brutus also becomes tyrannical, he also becomes a dictator like Caesar, you can do the same to him. If you find Brutus similar to Caesar, you can do the same to him. The question of his death is enrolled in the Capitol, his glory not extenuated wherein he was worthy, nor his offences enforced for which he suffered death. So Brutus is presenting him as an impartial person. He wants to present himself as having no grievance against Caesar. He killed Caesar for his fault, but he has nothing against him. So he says that if you find me also similar to Caesar, you can do the same to me as what I have done to Caesar. And then he informs them that the matter of his death, for which you all are asking the reason, that has been recorded officially in the Capitol, and in this official record we have mentioned all his glorious achievements. Just because we killed Caesar doesn't mean that we have reduced his achievements, we have minimized his achievements. No, nothing like that. And because all the achievements, the glorious achievements, he deserved them, so we have mentioned those also. And regarding his offences also, we haven't highlighted them. The offences for which he got this death punishment, for which he was assassinated, that means neither have we glorified his faults, neither have we tried to minimize his glorious achievements. That means we haven't tried to highlight his faults, neither have we tried to minimize his glorious achievements. That means we are very impartial person. We have officially recorded Caesar's glories as well as his faults as he really is, nothing more, nothing less. Enter Mark Antony and others with Caesar's body. Here comes his body, mourned by Mark Antony, who, though he had no hand in his death, shall receive the benefit of his dying, a place in the commonwealth. As which of you shall not? With this I depart, that as I slew my best lover for the good of Rome, I shall have the same dagger for myself when it shall please my country to need my death. So when he sees Mark Antony entering, so he tells Mark Antony has come with the dead body of Caesar. But Mark Antony had no hand in the assassination of Caesar. But he will be given the place in the commonwealth. He will not be deprived of a position in the commonwealth just because he is Caesar's friend. And not only Mark Antony, all of you will get a place in the commonwealth. And saying all this, I leave. I depart means I leave. And before leaving, let me say this, that I killed my best friend for the benefit of Rome. And I have that same dagger ready for me when my country needs my death. So naturally, the first round is Brutus's. He has impressed the public with his speech. Live Brutus, live, live. So the public, they have been satisfied. He has given reasons why he killed Caesar. First plebeian, bring him with triumph home unto his house. So let us take him in a procession victoriously to his home. Second plebeian, give him a statue with his ancestors. So yes, let's make a statue of Brutus and place it next to his ancestor. Remember, quite a few centuries ago. It was Brutus's ancestor. This is Marcus Brutus, that was Junius Brutus, who had established democracy in Rome by driving away the Tarquin family, royal family from Rome. Third plebeian, let him be Caesar, just see the public. Let him be Caesar. So they don't understand why Caesar was killed. Caesar was killed because of his tyranny. Now that is what they are trying to project. And now they want him to be Caesar. That means they want to exchange one master for another. Fourth plebeian, Caesar's better part shall be crowned in Brutus. So Brutus has all the qualities of Caesar along with his own noble qualities. Caesar's better parts. That means all the good qualities which Caesar had, they will find their culmination in Brutus. It was not that Caesar had nothing good. Caesar was good, but his ambition was the reason for his death. So Caesar's better parts will find their expression in Brutus. Will bring him to his house. We'll bring him to his house with shouts and clamors. Now they want to take him in a procession to his house. Yes, long live Brutus and all that. Brutus, my countrymen. Second plebeian, peace, silence, Brutus speaks. So please don't talk, let's hear, Brutus is speaking. First plebeian, peace, ho. So everyone be silent. Good countrymen, let me depart alone, and for my sake stay here with Antony. This is a very serious mistake of Brutus. Very serious mistake. He tells that just let me leave alone, because these people, they were so moved by Brutus's speech, they wanted to take him in a procession to his house. But Brutus, he is the most impartial and most noble and most emotional person. So he feels, no, let them hear Mark Antony also, and overconfident. Why? Because he thought, I have won the round. And after this, whatever Mark Antony says, it will have no effect. He underestimates Mark Antony, but Cassius knew the worth of Mark Antony. So this is the difference between Brutus and Cassius. So he says, let me go alone, and for my sake stay here with Antony. So he tells the people to stay there. Do grace to Caesar's corpse and grace his speech, tending to Caesar's glories, which Mark Antony by our permission is allowed to make. I do entreat you, not a man depart, save I alone till Antony have spoke. So he says that yes, show respect to Caesar's corpse, listen to the speech of Mark Antony when he talks about the glories of Caesar, and whatever Mark Antony says in his speech about the glories of Caesar, he is doing it with our permission. We have given him the permission to speak. We haven't restricted him from speaking of Caesar's glories. We have given him the permission to speak. And I request you, none of you should leave the place other than I. And you all please wait here and listen to Mark Antony till he has completed his speech. So Brutus's orders, so they have to stay. And he leaves. First plebeian, stay ho and let us hear Mark Antony. So yes, first one. But in the beginning they are reluctant. They don't listen to him spontaneously as they listen to Brutus. But Mark Antony knows all this. So slowly he will win them over. Third plebeian, let him go into the public chair. We'll hear him. Noble Antony, go up. So they tell him to ascend the pulpit. For Brutus's sake, I am beholding to you. So Mark Antony says, I am obliged to you for the sake of Brutus. Whatever Brutus has said, I am obliged to you for the sake of Brutus. What does he say of Brutus? Fourth plebeian. He doesn't understand what Mark Antony is saying. He says, for Brutus's sake, he finds himself beholding to us all. So the third plebeian or the third citizen explains that he says that he is obliged to us for the sake of Brutus. Fourth plebeian. It were best he speak no harm of Brutus here. See, now they want that he should not speak anything ill of Brutus, and Brutus has also told Mark Antony not to speak anything bad about the conspirators. Speak all good of Caesar, but nothing bad about us. And Mark Antony has agreed to it, and just see how cleverly he, without speaking anything bad, how he will make them appear as conspirators and butchers. This Caesar was a tyrant. So Brutus's speech has started making its effect or impression on the audience, on the common people. So they had a little while ago thought of Caesar as the greatest person in Rome, and now they say Caesar was a tyrant. Why? Because Brutus has said this. He was ambitious. Third plebeian. Nay, that's certain. We are blessed that Rome is rid of him. So public, you can change, you can make them change their minds. They are so fickle minded. So now the third citizen says, yes, that's true. He was a tyrant. So it's good that we have got rid of him. Second plebeian. Peace. Let us hear what Antony can say. So second citizen tells, let's hear what he has to say. Antony. You gentle Romans, all, peace ho, let us hear him. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I got my line and this lend me your ears from here, and after that whenever I would go to give any speech in the elocutions and all that, I would always use this. Honorable Principal Ma'am, teachers and my dear friends, lend me your ears. So I got identified by this lend me your ears. These juniors and the other audience, they would say, oh, that lend me your ears is coming, we want to listen to this line, lend me your ears. So this had become very famous in my college days. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. Just see how nicely he begins his speech, so diplomatically. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones, so let it be with Caesar. So I have come here not to praise Caesar. I have come here to bury Caesar. Because it is a fact that when people do good, they go with them to their graves and people forget about them. But if you do something bad, it lives even after your death. That means evil is permanent. It lives even after your death. Evil is as if immortal. And good deeds are mortal. They go with you and your dead bodies to the grave. So let the same be with Caesar. Caesar is not an exception. So let his good qualities go along with him to his grave. And the bad quality of being ambitious, let it remain among you all. The noble Brutus had told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously had Caesar answered it. Noble Brutus. Later it will become so ironical. At this moment the public doesn't understand when he says the noble Brutus. He says, yes, this noble Brutus, Brutus is a noble person, and he has told you that Caesar was ambitious. And if Caesar was ambitious, he has paid for his fault. How? In his death. Here, on the leave of Brutus and the rest. For Brutus is an honorable man, so are they all honorable men. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. So, Brutus and the others, they have given me permission to speak at Caesar's funeral. They are all honorable people. At this moment, again, the public don't understand when he says they are all honorable men. This is ironical. He doesn't mean what he says. But he was my friend, faithful and just to me. Caesar was my friend. He was faithful to me. He was just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. So I found Caesar faithful and a good friend and just. But Brutus says Caesar was ambitious, and Brutus cannot be wrong. He is an honorable man. He cannot be contradicted. He had brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? So step by step, he is not refuting what Brutus has said openly. Brutus has said Caesar is ambitious. He is not saying Caesar is not ambitious, but he is just step by step proving to the people and letting them judge whether Caesar was ambitious or not. He directly doesn't say no, Caesar was not ambitious. He doesn't say that. Just see how clever he is, how nicely he puts his arguments before the public. When the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. So he says that Caesar had got victory in many wars, and he had brought many captives back to Rome. So in those days, now when you would get victory over a particular country, so they would bring captives home, and then letters would be sent to the homes of those captives in their country, that if you can pay so much money, you can take, we will send your family member back. That was the ancient day kidnapping. Like in modern day kidnapping, what do? They kidnap a person and ask for ransom. So in those days, the victorious ruler would do that. So in this way, what happened? The public treasury got filled with a lot of money. So if he did it for the sake of the country, whose ransoms, that means the ransoms of the captives, filled the state treasury, filled the treasury of the country. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? So if Caesar was ambitious, he would have kept most of the money for himself. Did this in Caesar seem ambition? So was Caesar ambitious? He is putting a question to the public and giving them reasons to understand that Caesar was not ambitious. If Caesar had really been ambitious, would he have done that? Would he have filled the general coffers rather than filled his own house? When poor people cried, Caesar also cried along with them in sympathy for them. Can ambition be so soft? Caesar was so soft-hearted, he cried at the misery of the poor. But ambition should be of something stern. An ambitious person should be stern. So just see how stepwise he is proving to the people that Caesar was not ambitious. And yet he says, Brutus says he is ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. This is one of the biggest proof against Caesar's not being ambitious. If Caesar had really been ambitious, he would have accepted the crown at the first offer. So don't you all remember? During the festival of Lupercal, I offered him the crown 3 times, and 3 times only he refused it. Had he been ambitious, would he have refused the crown? Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure, he is an honorable man. So every time he is proving Caesar is not ambitious, and Brutus has said this, and Brutus is an honorable man. So ultimately it will become proof that Brutus is not an honorable man to say such a thing of Caesar. I speak not, just see this line, I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. So I am not contradicting what Brutus said, but I am just speaking what I myself know of Caesar. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? So all of you love Caesar, at least not before Brutus gave you the reason, you all love Caesar. So if you loved him, there must have been some reason for your love towards Caesar. So now what cause is it that stops you from crying at his death? None of you are crying. So why are you not crying? What is it that holds your tears? O judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. So he is telling that judgment, that means the quality to judge correctly, that has left human beings. That means human beings lack the power of judgment. It has run to the brutish beasts. It has gone in the bodies of the savage beasts. And men have lost their reason. Men have lost their reasoning power. And that is why they cannot judge properly. Bear with me, have patience with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me. A very clever master stroke. He wants to give public the time to think on what he has said. So he says, please wait, have patience with me. My heart is not here with me. It has gone to the coffin. It has gone to the coffin where Caesar's body is. So I'll have to wait till it comes back to me. So till then, please have patience with me. Actually, he is giving them some time to think on what he has said. Methinks there is much reason in his saying. Just see, he has been successful in moving them. First citizen says, yes, I think what he is saying is quite reasonable. If thou consider rightly of the matter, Caesar has had great wrong. Yes, they are getting influenced. So if we think of him of what he has said impartially, Caesar has been wronged. Third one seems to be of an inferior quality. Has he not masters? I fear there will a worse come in his place. So third one says, so masters, do you think what Caesar has been wronged? So in that case, I am afraid someone worse will come in place of Caesar. Fourth plebeian, mark ye his words, he would not take the crown. I told you this is the most powerful nail in the coffin of the conspirators, that he had refused 3 times the crown. If he had really been ambitious, he would have accepted it. And this point has driven home to the common people. So fourth one says, did you mark what Antony said? Yes, he had not accepted the crown. Therefore, it is certain he was not ambitious. He lets the people judge whether Caesar was ambitious or not. Brutus asserted that Caesar was not ambitious. Mark Antony doesn't say that Caesar was not ambitious. He lets people do the judgment. If it be found so, some will dare abide it. So now the first citizen, if it is really proved that Caesar was not ambitious, then the people who are responsible for his death will have to pay dearly for it. Poor soul, his eyes are as red as fire with weeping. Now they are having sympathy for Mark Antony. Mark Antony's eyes, they are so red, as red as fire. Why? Because he is crying at the death of his friend. One friend kills Caesar, another friend mourns his death, so much so that his eyes are red. There is not a nobler man in Rome than Antony. Just see what a change. So the public sentiment is like a pendulum oscillating from one side to the other. So only half an hour ago, or rather 15-20 minutes ago, they were cheering Brutus, and Brutus was the most noble person, and now it is Mark Antony. So who's the better orator? Obviously Mark Antony. Now mark him, he begins again to speak. So listen to him, he is again starting his speech. So Mark Antony had deliberately stopped to allow the people to discuss among themselves what he has said. But yesterday the word of Caesar might have stood against the world. Now lies he there, and none so poor to do him reverence. So only yesterday Caesar's words would have had been the most powerful words, the last word, as if, and at this moment he is lying here in the dust, and there is no one so humble to show him respect. O masters, if I were disposed to stir your hearts and minds to mutiny and rage, I should do Brutus wrong and Cassius wrong, who you all know are honorable men. And then he tells these common people that I have no wish to excite you, to incite you, to provoke you against these people. If I have no intention of provoking you to rebellion, to anger, because in that case I would be wronging Brutus and Cassius. They are all honorable people. I will not do them wrong. I am not going to wrong them. I rather choose to wrong the dead, to wrong myself and you, than I will wrong such honorable men. Rather than wronging these honorable men like Brutus and Cassius, let me be wronged, let you be wronged. Now see another master stroke. But here is a parchment with a seal of Caesar. He has brought some document. These public, they are not very literate also. If he brings any damn paper and says this is the will of Caesar, they would believe it. So he says, here is a parchment. It is a roll of paper he has brought with the seal of Caesar, Caesar's seal on it. I found it in his closet. I found it in his cupboard. It is his will. Will is a dying declaration of your property. So Caesar's property, what he has written in this will, how will it be divided? Caesar had no heirs. He had no children. Let but the commons hear this testament, which, pardon me, I do not mean to read. And they would go and kiss dead Caesar's wounds and dip their napkins in his sacred blood. Yea, beg a hair of him for memory, and dying mention it within their wills, bequeathing it as a rich legacy unto their issues. So he says this is his will. No, I have no wish to read it. But if you had known what is written in the will, what would you have done? You would have gone and kissed the wounds of Caesar, dipped your handkerchiefs in his blood, taken a hair of his as memento, and kept it in your house as something very secret, and after your death you would leave it to your children as something very priceless, a priceless treasure. You would do this, but I am not going to read it. If you come to know what is written in the will, you all will do this, but I am not going to read the will to you. So this is the temptation. Naturally the public would be curious. What is written in the will that he says we will do all this? So please, we want to listen. So he provokes them, incites them. Fourth plebeian. We'll hear the will, read it. Mark Antony, no, we want to listen to the will. Mark Antony, please. All. The will, we will hear the will. So this is what he wanted from them. This is another master stroke to prove that Caesar was not ambitious. Have patience, gentle friends. I must not read it. It is not meet you know how Caesar loved you. You are not wood. You are not stones but men. And being men, hearing the will of Caesar, it would inflame you. It will make you mad. So he says, please have patience, my friends. I should not read this will. It is not proper that you should hear what is written in the will, because once you hear, you will become emotional. You are not woods, you are made of flesh and blood. So it will move you and it will provoke you, it will incite you. Once you hear the will of Caesar, it will make you mad. You will become agitated. It is good you know not that you are his heirs. He is saying it is good you know not, and he is telling them also that Caesar has made y'all his heirs. That means successor to his property. For if you should, oh, what should come of it? He is telling, he is not going to say anything, and yet he is telling them that you are Caesar's heirs. Caesar has made you his heirs in his will. It's good that you don't know it, because if you get to know what will happen, you all will be filled with anger at the injustice done to this man. Read the will. We'll hear it, Antony. You shall read us the will, Caesar's will. So now they are forcing him. Will you be patient? Will you stay a while? I have overshot myself to tell you of it. I fear I wrong the honorable men whose daggers have stabbed Caesar. I do fear it. So he tells, please be patient. Be composed. I think I have said more than I should have said. And in telling this, I have wronged the honorable people whose daggers have been responsible for the death of Caesar. He is reminding the public that the daggers of those conspirators have killed Caesar. He is reminding them. Now see, he doesn't call them traitors, but he makes the public realize it. They were traitors, honorable men. So, what honorable men? They are not honorable, they are traitors. The will, the testament, they want the will to be read. Second plebeian, they were villains, murderers. The will, read the will. So, he doesn't say anything, but he makes the public speak out. So the public calls them villains. So this is some oratory. This is some piece of oration. After such a powerful speech of Brutus, how Mark Antony sways the public mood to suit his plans. Now just see, they call the conspirators, they call Brutus and his men the villains. Only a little while ago they were ready to take him in a procession to his house. And now they call him and the others villains and murderers. The will, read the will. You will compel me then to read the will, as if he is reluctant. So you will force me then to read the will. Then make a ring about the corpse of Caesar. So surround the body of Caesar. And let me show you him that made the will. So let me show you the person who made the will. That means let me show you Caesar's dead body. Shall I descend? Will you give me leave? Just see how humble he is at this moment. All, come down. Second plebeian, descend. Third plebeian, you shall have leave. So he is as if under their command. So humble, so lowly. And the public, oh, they are commanding Mark Antony, come down, we are giving you permission. Antony comes down. Fourth plebeian, a ring, that means let's surround Caesar's body, stand around. First plebeian, stand from the hearse, stand from the body. So don't stand so close to the body, a little away from the body. Second plebeian, room for Antony, most noble Antony. So leave some room for Antony to come. Most noble Antony. Nay, press not so upon me, stand far off. So don't come so close to me, keep a little keep some space, give me some space. Stand back, room, bear back. So the second several citizens, they urge the others to leave, to go a little back and give Antony some space. So this is where I will end. I told you it cannot be done in one video, so this is one, and I have evenly spaced it. So the next video will continue with the remaining lines. So this speech of Mark Antony I will start in my next video from here. So I am sure you must have liked the video. It must have made your study hours easier. So bye for the time being.